If pain could wear perfume, it would smell like Amara Nwokolo. She was beautiful, rich, graceful, the kind of woman people pointed at and said, "She's blessed," a name that carried weight across Lagos. By 39, she owned boutiques in Lekki, furniture showrooms in Victoria Island, and a mansion that glittered under the night sky. But all the diamonds in her life could not hide the darkness that followed her, because Amara had buried 3 husbands. 3 strong, healthy men, 3 different years, 3 same endings. And Lagos had given her a new name, the woman who kills her husband for money. Amara met Kene, her first husband, when she was 25, a young, handsome real estate guy. Amara had gone to check out one of the houses listed by his agency. That was how they met. From that day, they became inseparable. They built dreams together, prayed together, and supported each other through everything. Their love was loud and pure. Neighbors envied their laughter. The wedding was one of the most talked about weddings in Lagos. Everything went beautifully. After the wedding, they traveled to Germany for their honeymoon, the kind of couple people envied, too perfect, almost unreal. For 2 years, life was bliss. Then suddenly, laughter turned to silence. One afternoon, Amara went upstairs to shower. Kene was watching TV in the living room. When she came back down 15 minutes later, the coffee mug was still in his hand, but his eyes were closed. At first, she thought he was sleeping. She smiled and touched his shoulder lightly. "Kene, wake up." He didn't move. She shook him again. "Kene." Still nothing. The cup slipped from his fingers and shattered on the floor. That was when she screamed. By the time the ambulance arrived, it was too late. Doctors said it was a sudden cardiac arrest. No sign of struggle. No clear reason. The news hit Lagos like wildfire. Prominent businessman Amara Nwokolo found dead in his home. People whispered everywhere, at markets, salons, and offices. After Kene's death, Amara's world crumbled. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, but the pain refused to fade. Her once bright mansion became quiet, filled only with the echo of her footsteps and the hum of the refrigerator. She stopped wearing makeup, stopped going out, stopped living. Everyone had something to say. Fine woman. Bad luck follows her. How can a man so young die like that? Maybe she used charm and it backfired. The whispers chased her everywhere she went until she stopped trying to explain. She told herself she would never love again. But life, somehow, has a way of bringing people to your door when you least expect it. And that was how Daniel came into the picture. Amara met Daniel 2 years later at a business seminar in Abuja. He was older, calm and gentle, a man who spoke softly but carried quiet confidence. He had heard of her company and came to discuss a contract. But conversation turned into friendship. Daniel was patient with her. He never rushed her healing, never reminded her of her past. When she told him about Kene, he only said, maybe love didn't die with him. Maybe it's waiting for a new home. At first, she laughed it off, but little by little, his kindness broke down her walls. He would check on her every morning, send flowers, and call late at night just to hear her voice. She began to smile again, the kind of smile that made people say, she's glowing. After a year of friendship, Daniel proposed in the simplest way in her living room, after dinner, with no cameras or crowd. "I don't want your money," he said. "I want your peace. Let me bring laughter back to your house." For the first time in years, Amara said yes. The wedding was private, quiet, just family and close friends. And for a while, everything felt right again. Daniel was different. He prayed with her every morning, massaged her feet after work, and made her laugh till her stomach hurt. When people gossiped about her past, he held her hand and said, "You don't owe anyone your story." The house was filled with warmth again. But happiness, for Amara, never stayed long. One morning, she woke to find Daniel sitting at the edge of the bed, holding his head. "You okay?" she asked. "It's just a headache," he said softly. "Maybe stress." She made him tea, rubbed his shoulders, and told him to rest. By evening, he was laughing again, teasing her about her burnt rice. Nothing seemed wrong. Until the next morning, Amara woke up and turned beside her. His body was cold. She screamed, she shook him, slapped his chest, called his name over and over. Nothing. By the time the ambulance came, Daniel was gone. No poison, no sickness, no reason. The doctors were as confused as she was. His heart just stopped, they said. Again, the same story, the same ending, the same silence. When the news broke, people no longer pitied her. They pointed, they judged. "She's cursed. Every man that loves her dies. Don't go near that woman." Even her church members started avoiding her. Children whispered when she passed. Her friends stopped calling. Amara locked herself inside the house again. Days became nights, nights became months. She'd sit on the floor, staring at Daniel's pictures, asking, "God, am I the problem? What did I do?" No answer came. She lost friends. She lost herself. She became a ghost living in an empty body. Her childhood friend Tina came to visit as soon as she heard the news. She entered the house quietly, her eyes filled with pity. "Amara, I'm so sorry for your loss," Tina said softly. "Please take heart. God knows best." Amara turned sharply, her voice trembling but firm. "Did you say God knows best?" "Which best, Tina? Look at me. At this age, I've buried 2 husbands already, and you're telling me God knows best? Is my sadness best to God?" Tina looked down, unable to speak. She leaned forward and whispered gently, "I think we should seek help, maybe from a pastor. What do you think?" Amara wiped her eyes, her voice breaking. "Which pastor, Tina? The same people that called me cursed? The same ones who said I killed my husband? Please don't insult me. I don't believe in any of those people anymore." But Tina didn't give up. "I know a very powerful man of God," she said quietly. "Someone who can look into this, because honestly, Amara, I don't think this is ordinary anymore." Amara shook her head slowly. Her eyes were hollow, her tone almost empty. "Please, Tina, stop. I'm not going anywhere. If God has truly decided to turn me into a walking corpse, then so be it." Silence fell between them. The only sound was the ticking of the wall clock, slow, cold, and heavy. Months passed, and Amara's heart grew colder. She stopped answering calls, stopped attending church, and closed one of her shops. She told her mother, "Love is not for me. Every man who touches my hand ends up in a coffin." Her mother sighed deeply. "My daughter, it's not good for a woman to stop living because of sorrow. You don't know what tomorrow carries." But Amara had stopped believing in tomorrow, until one afternoon, fate sent Michael. She met him in the most unexpected way at the airport. Her flight to Abuja was delayed, and she sat alone, scrolling through her phone, hiding behind dark shades. Michael, a tall man with a warm smile, noticed her struggling to lift her carry-on bag. "Let me help you with that," he said. She looked up and hesitated. "I'm fine, thank you." "You don't look fine," he said gently. But that's okay. Most of us aren't. Something about his calm voice made her pause. For the first time in months, she smiled faintly, but real. They sat beside each other on the flight and talked the whole way. Michael was a widower, a construction engineer who had lost his wife to childbirth 3 years earlier. He spoke softly, listened deeply, and never once asked about her past. When they landed, he said, "I don't know your story, but I know sadness when I see it. Still, I also see strength. I'd like to see you again." Amara wanted to say no, but something in her heart whispered, maybe this one will be different. Their friendship grew quietly. One Sunday evening, they sat on the balcony watching the sunset. The sky burned orange, the breeze soft on their faces. Michael looked at her and said softly, "You've been through storms, Amara, but the sea still calls your name. Don't be afraid to love again." Tears filled her eyes. "I'm scared," she whispered. "I can't bury another man." He took her hand gently. "Then let me live long enough to prove that love can survive even your fear." She laughed through her tears. "You sound like a pastor." He smiled. "No, just a man who doesn't plan to die soon." But deep down, Amara was terrified. When Michael finally knelt to propose to her, she stepped back, shaking her head. "Michael, I'm sorry, I can't marry you. Not because I don't love you, but because I love you too much. I don't want you to die too." Her voice broke. "I've accepted my fate. Maybe I was never meant for marriage." Michael rose to his feet slowly, walked to her, and held her shoulders. "Amara, don't say such a thing. I'm not going to die like the others." Her lips trembled. "What makes you think so?" He smiled gently, his eyes warm and sure. "Because I believe in the God I serve." He paused, then said softly, "Let me tell you something. There's nothing too small for God, and nothing too big. There's nothing he cannot do. You just have to believe." Amara's tears spilled freely now. For the first time in years, she felt a flicker of peace, a small light in the darkness. Michael wiped her tears and whispered, "Tomorrow, I'll take you to my pastor. We'll pray together and trust in God. He will come to our aid." Amara nodded slowly, her heart heavy but hopeful. For the first time, she allowed herself to believe again. Maybe, just maybe, this time would be different. The next morning, Amara woke before dawn. For the first time in years, she whispered a quiet prayer. "God, if you're really still there, show me yourself. I'm so tired, God, show me your way." Michael arrived early, dressed simply in a white shirt and black trousers. He smiled gently when she came out of the house, her hair wrapped in a scarf. "Ready?" he asked softly. "I don't know," she whispered, "but let's go." The drive was silent. Amara's fingers twisted her handkerchief nervously as the car moved through the morning mist. They stopped in front of a church on the outskirts of Surulere, not the flashy kind with golden gates, but a humble building with a faint sound of worship coming from inside. Michael smiled reassuringly. "He's a good man. He helped me after I lost my wife. Just believe in God." Inside, the pastor sat behind a wooden table, his Bible open, his eyes calm and deep. He was an elderly man with a grey beard and a soft voice that felt like still water. "Welcome, my children," he said gently. "I know pain when I see it, but before you speak, let us pray." They knelt. His voice rose softly, then grew deeper, firmer. Halfway through the prayer, his tone changed. He stopped suddenly. Then his eyes opened slowly, and he looked straight at Amara. "My daughter," he said quietly, "you have been asking why death surrounds you. Fynd gwewd, isend, Amara froze. Her breath caught. He continued, "It is not ordinary. There is a voice crying against you, a voice that was wronged, a soul that was never consoled." Amara's lips trembled. "A soul? What do you mean, Pastor?" The man's eyes softened. "Years ago, you spoke harshly to someone who came to you for help, someone desperate, broken, and crying. You turned her away in her moment of pain, and your words became a chain upon your own destiny." Amara frowned slowly, her eyes searching the air as if trying to grasp a memory. "Pastor, I don't understand. I don't remember anything like that." He leaned forward slightly, his gaze never leaving her. "Then think well, my daughter," he said softly. "God is showing you for a reason. Search your heart, you will remember." Amara's mind went blank. Then, slowly, like a wound reopening, a memory began to crawl back. Her eyes flew open, her lips parted. "Oh my God," she whispered, her body shaking. "I remember. It had been 7 years ago. Her business was booming, her showroom was full, and she had no time for anything or anyone that slowed her down. One hot afternoon, one of her cleaners, a frail, middle-aged woman, came to her, eyes red and voice shaking. "Madam, please, my husband is dying in the hospital. They said we must bring 100,000 naira for his treatment. Please, even if it's small, you can take it from my salary, madam, please." Amara, who had just finished arguing with a supplier, turned angrily. "Look, woman, am I your husband's problem? Do I look like a hospital? Every day it's one story or the other. Please, don't bring your family nonsense to my office again." "You think I pick money from the ground?" she snapped. The woman fell to her knees, crying harder. "Madam, please, I'm begging you. The doctor said if I don't make any deposit today, he will die." Amara's voice rose higher. "Then let him die if he must. Do I look like your savior? You people think because someone made it in life, we're all your bank accounts." The woman clasped her hands, sobbing. "Madam, I beg you in God's name. Any amount, please, madam." Amara's voice thundered across the office. "I said, get out, useless woman. Instead of working hard, you're going around begging. Maybe if your husband was a real man, you wouldn't be crawling at my feet. Now leave before I sack you this minute." The woman stood slowly, shaking from head to toe. She just turned, wiped her tears, and walked away quietly. 2 days later, her husband died. And since that day, Amara never saw her again. Now, kneeling before the pastor, her body began to shake. Her tears fell like rain. "Pastor, it's true," she whispered. "Oh, God, I said those words. I didn't mean it. I was just angry. I was tired that day." Michael looked at her, speechless, his heart breaking. The pastor sighed deeply. "The tongue kills faster than poison, my daughter. Sometimes a single sentence can destroy a destiny." Hatwoman went home and cried bitterly to God. She said, "If Amara had helped me that day, maybe my husband would still be alive." In that grief, she spoke words that bound your path. He held her gaze. She declared you would have everything: beauty, wealth, success, but you would not keep a home. And so every man who loved you was taken early, so you would feel the same pain she felt at her husband's grave. 18. So Amara broke down. Oh God, what do I do? Please, what can I do to stop this? I can't live like this anymore." The pastor closed his eyes for a moment, then said slowly, "There is only one way. You must find that woman. Beg her for forgiveness with your whole heart. Until she releases you, no prayer can hold back what has been spoken." That night, Amara couldn't sleep. The pastor's words echoed in her mind like a haunting melody. Until she releases you, no prayer can hold back what has been spoken. She lay awake, staring at the ceiling, her pillow soaked with tears. Michael tried to comfort her, but her silence said it all. Her mind was far away, lost in guilt and confusion. At dawn, she rose quietly, dressed in black jeans and a long top, and told him softly, "I need to go somewhere. Please don't ask me where. I'll be fine." Michael hesitated, worry clouding his face. "Amara, talk to me. What's going on?" She forced a small smile. "I need to find that woman." Her first stop was her old office, the same building where the woman had once worked as a cleaner. The walls had been repainted, new signs hung above the doors, but the memories still lived there. She spoke to the security guard. "Please, do you remember a woman who used to work here?" She was thin, quiet, always wore a blue scarf. Her name was Mama Ifeoma. The man frowned, thinking for a moment. "Ah, that woman. Yes, I remember her. She stopped working here a long time ago. Her husband died, and she left Lagos. I heard she went back to her village in Suka." Amara's heart pounded. She pressed some money into his hand. "Thank you." Then she whispered to herself, "Nsuka, that's where I'll go." The road to Nsuka was long and rough. Every sound of the bus engine felt like a heartbeat in her chest. She barely spoke to anyone, her mind replaying that day in the office, her own words, her own anger, her own pride. When she reached the small village, she began asking around. Most people didn't know the name until an old woman sitting under a mango tree looked up and said, "Ah, Mama Ifeoma, the one whose husband died suddenly." Her story was a sad one. She left behind one daughter, but she herself, she's gone. She died not long after her husband. Amara's heart dropped. "Gone?" she whispered. "Yes," the woman said softly. "People said she cried herself to death." Amara stood frozen. Tears welled up in her eyes. "I came too late." The old woman studied her face carefully. "Are you family?" Amara shook her head slowly. "No, I'm the reason she never found peace." They led her to the small clay hut that used to be Mama Ifeoma's home. It was quiet, empty, and cold. Inside, a broken wooden chair sat in one corner. On the wall hung an old photo, a man smiling faintly in a hospital bed. Amara knelt on the dusty floor, trembling. "Mama Ifeoma," she whispered, "I don't know if your spirit can hear me, but I came. I came to say I'm sorry." Her tears fell heavily, splashing on the floor. "I was proud. I was foolish. You begged me to save your husband and I turned my back on you. I didn't know my words that day would bury my joy too." She broke down completely. "If your soul can hear me, please forgive me. I've paid for it over and over again. Please forgive me." The wind outside grew stronger, brushing through the doorway. The candle beside her flickered and went out. A calm stillness filled the room. For a moment, it felt like the air itself sighed. As Amara turned to leave, a young woman appeared at the doorway. She looked barely 20, holding a small basket of firewood. Her eyes were sharp, curious, and familiar. "Good afternoon," the girl said softly. "Are you the one who came to see Mama Ifeoma's house?" Amara nodded, wiping her tears. "Yes, I came to pay my respects." The girl hesitated. "I'm her daughter. My name is Ifeoma." Amara gasped quietly. "You're her daughter?" Ifeoma nodded slowly. She looked at the girl, her thin clothes, tired eyes, and cracked slippers. Her heart ached deeply. "You've suffered enough because of what happened," Amara said softly. "Please, come with me. Let me take you to the city. Let me help you build a better life. It's the least I can do to make up for what I've done." Ifeoma blinked in disbelief, tears welling in her eyes. "You'd really do that for me?" Amara nodded, smiling faintly through her tears. "Yes, my dear. It's time to heal both our hearts." They stood there for a moment, 2 generations joined by pain, finally finding forgiveness in each other's eyes. Amara wrapped her arms gently around Ifeoma. "Come with me," she whispered. "Let's go home." And for the first time in years, Amara's heart felt light, not because her past was erased, but because she finally chose mercy over memory. Months later, Lagos smiled again on Amara's life. Ifeoma had settled into the city, studying and working under Amara's care like the daughter she never had. The guilt that once haunted her heart slowly turned into purpose. Michael stood by her through it all, patient, gentle, proud. Their love grew stronger, rooted not in luxury, but in peace. When their wedding day came, the hall glowed with white lilies and soft golden light. Friends whispered, "Maybe this time, love will stay." And it did. Amara walked down the aisle in a simple, elegant gown. Michael waited at the altar, his eyes filled with gratitude, not for beauty, but for grace. As they exchanged vows, Amara's voice trembled softly. "You've taught me that love can heal even the deepest scars." The crowd cheered, and for the first time in many years, Amara smiled without fear. It wasn't the loud kind of happiness, it was quiet, gentle, complete. Months after their marriage, she founded the Ifeoma Foundation, a charity home for widows and the less privileged. Whenever people asked her why, she always said, "Because mercy once found me when I didn't deserve it." The story that began in pain ended in peace. Not every wound leaves a scar. Some become the very reason we shine. In life, what we give returns sometimes as pain, sometimes as peace. Amara learned that the greatest healing begins when we choose compassion over pride. Be careful how you speak to those in need, because a tongue without mercy can curse a life without warning. Pride builds empires, but kindness keeps them standing. Amara learned that true peace is not found in wealth or love, it is found in forgiveness. And so, she lived. Not cursed, not broken, but free. Tell me, where are you watching from? And what did you think about Amara's story? Leave your opinion in the comments below. I love reading them. And please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories coming your way every week. Thank you so much for watching, and see you soon.